Hey, Vsauce! Shinmin here. You're probably thinking of buying this new furry hero. That is why you ended up here. And that is good, because you and I will talk about WANWAN and see if she's worth the battle points you're saving up in this episode of Hero Review. But I bet you'll end up buying her regardless of what I say, because I don't know, anime? But just in case, let us talk about her strengths, her weaknesses, and again, please do not treat this video as a guide. I am merely here to give you a view of my experience playing WANWAN in the advanced server so that you can make the right decision on buying her or not. So WANWAN is a marksman and she's part of this oriental gang that's composed of her, Zilong, Baxia, and Ling. She excels in having this insane mobility with her unlimited dashing action every time she does a basic attack. And this is what makes her very unique from other marksmen. So let's talk about that. Her passive Tiger Pace makes her jump a short distance after doing a basic attack. Using skill 1 or skill 2 does the same, and if you played Ruby at some point in your Mobile Legends life, you'll know how to control this kind of passive. Just simply do a basic attack, then hold down the joystick to the direction you want her to jump after completing that basic attack. Same thing with using her skill 1 and skill 2. After you activate the skill, move your joystick so you can make her jump to wherever you like. This is also kind of similar to Carry's skill 2, right? The great thing about this mobility passive is you don't need any mana to be able to cast this. Other marksmen need to spend mana or worry about cooldowns of their blink or dash skills, while WANWAN, on the other hand, just need to do a basic attack to skip around teamfights and have that awesome power of easy repositioning. Another effect of her passive is whenever you hit an enemy hero with basic attack or skills, you give them these weakness markers. If you hit these markers with basic attacks or skills, you deal the additional damage of 2.5% of the enemy's maximum HP. So that's 10% maximum HP gone if you successfully hit all the markers around that enemy, even without damage items. But that is not all. If you are skilled or lucky enough to break all the markers, all the damage you do to that target will have a 30% increase for the next 6 seconds, making your darts hurt even more. This breaking the weakness markers also unlocks your ultimate, which we will talk about more on later. Now let us take a look at her skill 1. You throw this bird thing in line, damaging enemies along the way, and it leaves this spinning thing. But after like a split second, 3 darts will go back to you regardless of where you are, hitting enemies on its way back. Much like Gusion's daggers, but in a straight line, and the darts go back one by one. If enemies are foolish enough to get hit by these 3 darts, they get damaged and slowed. If they get hit at least twice, they get stunned, like for half a second. And like I said earlier, her skills, like this one, also trigger the weakness markers and can also break these markers. This skill helps a lot in breaking markers out of reach, especially when you want to break the markers behind the enemy hero, right? You won't have to jump and go around the enemy when you have this skill. So I got nothing much to say about skill 1, but the stun and slow effect is great, and it's a very useful harassing skill, especially early game. It's somewhat nice escape skill. Imagine if enemies are chasing you in a line, like behind you, just cast this skill behind you, and if the darts go back to you and the enemies are still chasing you, they'll be hit with a mini stun on the darts way back. This skill's also great when clearing minion waves. If you line it up, you deal additional damage like on its way out and then on its way back, and it also helps with clearing down jungle monsters since it damages the jungle monsters and it also stuns them, except the turtle and the lord. And all you need to do on your end is line it up properly, don't move, so all the 3 darts go back to you while piercing through the enemies on the way. Her skill 2 is a pretty straightforward skill. You get disabled by anything at all. Press this skill and you'll be immediately released from whatever it is that's holding you down. Just like a free Purify battle spell. It's insane how they put this in a marksman with high mobility and high damage output late game. Like, you can't even get hooked or get stunned by Selena. You can just press this skill on time, and if you make sure that you reserve it for these kinds of instances, you get a free get out of stun card. And oh yeah, it also deals damage to a small area around you, so it also triggers the markers on the enemies that you hit. But I don't really recommend getting real close to the enemy just to take advantage of this weakness breaking effect. I observed that it is best to keep this skill. Don't use it unless you get stunned. And man, a marksman that is hard to catch because she's so mobile, and also hard to stun and keep in place because she has this skill. What the heck, right? And don't forget that you can also dash with your passive after using skill 2 or after getting out of the stun. So press this skill to remove the stun and then dash out, all in one press of the skill. And then finally, we have her ultimate that is called Crossbow of Tang. So this skill is basically unusable for the entire game. It's just grayed out, as you can see here. You can't friggin' press it unless you manage to break all the weakness points of an enemy hero. And it is not that easy to do. But if you do, this skill gets unlocked and you can press it. And WANWAN will jump and fly in the air while shooting countless bullshit darts to the weakness broken target. And no, you don't have to aim this skill, you just press it. WANWAN will auto-lock on that hero, and you just have to make sure that you keep them in range. And that's an easy thing to do because you can move while you're in the air, just like Ling while using his ult, or Kadita's ultimate while you're underwater. So what else is happening whenever you're lucky enough to activate your ultimate once in a blue moon? Well, there's that little thing that you can't be targeted by anything for the duration of your ultimate. Pretty balanced, am I right? Even tower diving is okay since towers can't target you as well while you're doing this ultimate. So this makes this skill also act as an escape skill because whenever you activate it, you get immune to everything. You can't be targeted. And that is while you are bursting down targets with your unlimited daggers. Oh, and another thing to remember about this ult is if you have multiple enemies and your first target dies to the barrage of darts you're shooting at their face, WANWAN will stay in the air and switch target to another enemy hero within her range. If you're not done yet with your ult and the target immediately dies, then another hero will be falling victim to this skill. And you don't even have to break the weakness points of that second target. She just wanna use up all her darts, I guess. And another thing to remember about this skill is the more attack speed that you have, the more darts WANWAN will throw during her ult. Which is great because there's no other way to go with the builds aside from attack speed build, because you want to activate your jumping passive more often, and you can only do that if you have high attack speed. So that's her skills, and I played her last week in the advanced server, live streamed it for like 5 to 6 hours. And I had a great time. It is so fun to watch this marksman jump around while throwing darts at the enemy's faces. Some of you might think that it's complicated to use her because of this jumping mechanic, but it's really not. Trust me, you just have to worry about where you're gonna land next after doing a basic attack. If you want to jump continuously, then you better land on the spot where an enemy is in range so that you can attack again and then jump again. Her skill 1 is, like I said, additional damage output, especially early game when you don't have your items yet. It also does a mini stun on enemies when you use this properly. And oh man, I can't count how many times I've been saved with the free Purify, that is her skill 2. It can virtually remove any type of CC and get you out of danger, especially since it also activates your jumping passive afterwards. The only thing that might turn you off, and I don't think it will, is how difficult it is to use her ultimate. Actually, not use, but activate. Most of my games during the matches I played with her, I only ended up activating her ultimate like 2 to 3 times for the entire game. And also the damage is not as bursty as other ults, but the ability to not get hit by anything while doing damage is insane. This is one of the fun experiences I had while playing WANWAN, since breaking the enemy's weakness points makes it feel like you're playing a mini game inside Mobile Legends. You have to find a way to break the markers around the enemy, whether it's jumping around them or doing auto attacks or using your skill 1 and praying that you hit their backside with the returning darts. But of course, with all these great things that make WANWAN a powerful marksman, I feel that her damage early game is pretty low compared to other marksmen like Kimmy, Bruno, Granger. So don't expect her to be as bursty while not having items yet. And also the cooldown on her skill 2 Purify is pretty long even at maximum level. So you might be able to escape one stun, but in team fights where multiple disable skills are flying around from the enemy, she is still gonna be vulnerable to that once hit. And just to share what I've found most success with when it comes to spells and builds, I found that getting Inspire is pretty good on her because WANWAN relies heavily on attack speed to take advantage of the jumping passive. The more basic attack you do in a short amount of time, the more jumping you can do and the more distance you can cover. This also means that enemies will have a hard time landing their skill shots if you move around a lot, and escaping or chasing is pretty easy if you attack fast and jump a lot, because you can reposition yourself easily. For the build, I recommend trying this one out. This is the build that I had most success with. It gives you a lot of early attack speed and acceptable damage, and getting Demon Hunter Sword and Golden Staff only enhances that percent HP damage that you already have when breaking down markers on your enemies. For emblems, I suggest getting Marksman emblem because it is the only emblem that gives you the most attack speed from all the other emblems. So I don't care how you build it. What's important is it gives you a lot of attack speed. And that is it for me. I hope this video helps you in deciding if you want WANWAN in your hero pool. I personally think she is a great addition to the marksman selection, and she adds a unique kind of playstyle that marksman mains or even players that don't play marksman are sure to enjoy. I rate this hero Furry out of 5. And again, my name is Shinman Taxo. Thank you so much for watching. Slap like now if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe for more hero reviews. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace!